Hey guys, Parfax here, and today we're bringing you the armor that you need to get for fresh start or just whenever you hit level 60. Now, before we start this video, I want to talk about a few different things. First off, we are going to start streaming. We did a couple test streams. They didn't go too bad, so we are going to start streaming. We're going to first start on Twitch and then probably go from Twitch and YouTube at the same time. So you can follow me on Twitch. We'll have a link in the description down below, and just make sure you check out the YouTube channel, and I will let you guys know when I start streaming. We will be streaming this week. Now, also here on the YouTube channel, I did open up a membership. Now, all you have to do to join it is to go to the community tab, hit the join button. You get a couple things like possibly shout outs, member only videos, and then a few other cool emotes, gifts, and things like that that you might possibly be interested in. No pressure. All I really need you guys to do is like and subscribe, but if you want to support a little bit extra, go ahead and check it out and see if you like it. All right, here's the video. So in this video, we are going to talk about armor. Now, with armor, we're going to preface this a couple different ways. First, we're really going to be focusing on resilient. Now, if you're looking for a lot of PvE pieces, there are a ton of different dungeons that you can do. Mainly Tempest, it has a lot of very generically good PvE stuff. They have a set for each attribute, and they have a good tanking DPS set. So if you're really looking for just generic PvE stuff, I would probably just go do Tempest. Now, the reason why we're going to focus on resilient, like I said, is because of PvE. You really only need a couple things. First off, you need your weapon perks, and then wards if you can get them, refreshings, and then a little bit of luck if you can get it. Now, Void Bent is really good, and we're going to talk about that here in a little bit, but we're going to focus mainly on resilient in PvP stuff, because the PvE stuff, which you're going to see some of it on here as well, it just isn't quite as hard to get. And first, I couldn't talk about the con gear if I didn't talk about the Champion's Ring and the Champion's Amulet. These two are great. There is also a Champion's Earring as well. It's a pretty good generic earring, but these two specifically, these are your big damaging PvP pieces of jewelry you're going to want to get as fast as possible. Now, note that these do still say 500 to 600, so you're going to want to get your expertise up, unlike the other named items. But I did want to point these out because these are going to be items you're going to definitely must get. Next, we have a new con ring. Now, it is con, but it does have a slashing damage on it. It is hardy, slash damage, and enfeebling, and this is dropped from, we're going to go here a lot, Brimstone Sands. This mob actually has a couple decent drops here. He has that, and he has a Hunter's Claw. Not terribly great, but there are a lot of mobs up here in Brimstone that are going to be really good. Again, this is a nice con hardy slash enfeebling ring. Now, when it comes to crafting and when it comes to gearing yourself out, I always have to talk about Void Bent. If you didn't know, so we can look at them here. Void Bent. There are three different types of Void Bent. You have the heavy, the medium, and I think this is light. Yeah, so light. So with heavy, you're gonna have con. It's gonna be resilient, luck, invigorated. This is gonna be one of your go-to sets to craft. As long as you can get the mats pretty decently and pretty cheap, and you're not, well, into needing light or medium armor, Void Bent's going to be a pretty decent way to get a couple of your pieces. Now, I'm not specifically going to go heavy armor, so I'm not going to fully load up on the Void Bent set, but if you need a piece of heavy armor that you don't see on this list or you can't find in the game, and you really need that 600 gear, maybe to push into a higher tier zone, maybe do some higher dungeons, you can't go wrong with Void Bent. And then you have the medium set, which is Dexterity, the same perks. And we have the light, which is Strength. Like I said, if you're looking for int or you're looking for focus, you're probably going to have to go with the heavy pieces, or at least for as many as you can get. But if you're looking to fill in a few pieces, it's hard to go wrong with a couple pieces of Void Bent at launch. The last piece of con gear is actually a pretty good one, and it is bouldering gloves. This is a resilient, refreshing armor breaker piece, and this, like I said, we're gonna go here a lot, is in Brimstone, all the way up here in the northwest for good old Stubbles, the Goat King. Pretty good piece of gear here. It is heavy, so it's not gonna fit in every build, but if you're running medium or heavy, this is gonna be a piece you definitely look to slot in your build. Now, when recording this video, originally, I completely forgot to put these pants on here, but the regular pants, you guys probably already know about them, but these are absolutely crazy. These are really close to BIS pants for a lot of people. And this is Constitution, Refreshing, Shirking, Fortification, and Resilient. This is going to be a staple for almost every PvP build right at the start, and you can find it at 2 different locations. You can find it right here west of Brimstone Sands is like right here. You go here, this is a little panther, and during the daytime he spawns here. He has about a 3-minute respawn, and then in the nighttime he spawns up here, but it's a lot closer to 10-minute respawn. So honestly, there's actually another ring that you can get, the Heart of Heka, which is actually a really good medium armor ring. So if you want to especially run strength, go here. You can get both of these pieces of gear. It'll be something that I am getting for sure when it comes to Fresh Start. Next, we're going to go over to, well, focus. So when it comes to focus, we do have a couple pieces here. Focus and int are pretty low when it comes to the amount of pieces you can get, but we do have a couple to talk about here. First off, we have the Cleric's Cow. It is a con focus piece with physical aversion, resilient, refreshing, evasion. Actually a pretty good piece, and you can find it here. Again, Brimstone Sands. Really good piece of gear, but again, it's going to take you a little bit of time to get in here. You're going to find that when it comes to armor, we're going to have to basically go to faction gear and then just upgrade it from there from drops until we have the ability to do things like Tempest, till we have the ability to do things like Brimstone. Next, I want to talk about the Matt's Blessing. This is a focus amulet with health, divine, and slashing protection. So if you're looking for some PvP protection and focus on the amulet, it's going to be a very good one. And it is here at the Judge of Purity in Brimstone. Now, not everything is going to be in Brimstone. Our next one is going to be the easiest one to get, and that is going to be the Reinforced Tempestuous Earring of the Sage. Yes, this is a named item. It has focus, focused, refreshing, toast, refreshing. This actually comes from the Tempest bundles, and when it comes to the Tempest bundles, we actually have a couple of them on here. Make sure when you open these, you have to have your expertise at 600. So this is going to be an item I wanted to put on here, but this is more for once you get your expertise up to 600, then you can get this piece, where the other named quote unquote items you're going to have on here, you're going to get at 590. Now there's a chance these drop at 590, but New World Database says they don't. So honestly, I wouldn't count on it. Next, we have a nice little ring with the Silver Leaf Sacred Brilliant Siphoning. When it comes to healers, this perk right here, Sacred, is going to be your bread and butter. I know it doesn't have Hardy on it, so if you're running something like light armor, this is going to be a little hard to do, but remember, we're going to be Fresh Start servers, so we're not going to be able to have Hardy on everything. But if you can survive without it, this weapon is really good. Now, it doesn't say where it drops here. Will it say on the old one? Yeah, it drops, and it drops in Eternal Pools, specifically off the last boss. This does say that all of them drop it, but I haven't heard of anybody getting it unless it was off the last boss, the Tentacle. So take that with what you will. It could drop off of, it seems, pretty much most of the mobs there in Eternal Pools, but it does, we know, drop off the last boss. The last ring we have is another focus ring with brilliant siphoning and, well, sacred, and this is going to drop again in Brimstone Sands. It's going to drop off of Benny here, and yeah, it's a really good ring. Again, doesn't have Hardy on it, and it's pretty much the same thing as the last one, but it's just going to be another ring to look out for that you're going to want to get. Next on our list, we are talking about Dexterity. And when talking about Dexterity, it's hard to talk about a fresh start server and gear in general without talking about the Sinful Glare. Sinful Glare is a Dexterity light helmet with Resilient, Refreshing, Invigorated, and it drops at the Blighted Greenskeeper in Genesis. This piece of gear is absolutely pretty crazy good. This is a pretty insane headpiece. There is a lot of Dexterity helms, but when it comes to needing Resilient on your gear, the Sinful Glare knocks it out of the park. It is such a great piece of gear. I cannot wait to get it for my Dexterity builds in New World once we have the fresh start server. Next piece of gear here, we have a medium set of gloves with con and Dexterity. It has Resilient, Refreshing, Evasion, and Physical Aversion. Aversions are, in my opinion, especially physical, one of the most underrated or almost disrespected pieces of, well, I shouldn't say pieces, perks in the game. And this item, if you couldn't guess, is from the sneak. If it sounds familiar, it should, because again, it is another mob in Brimstone. The sneak has not shown up once, but now twice. And you can see here, his pool also had the Shadow's Edge. So if you're looking for a Dex plus Strength setup with the possibility of running a medium pair of gloves, which I will be running medium sword and shield greatsword, then the sneak is where you're going to want to go, because these two items are going to be must-haves for that build. Next, we have another medium Dexterity piece with the Lith Leggings, Resilient, Physical Aversion, and Invigorated. Now, these would be pretty good if these were light, so they're only medium. Well, they're medium in quality and medium in weight here, and they drop by Aviva in Brimstone again. And again, you're going to see a lot of Brimstone stuff here. I don't think a lot of people have actually even looked at some of the stuff that drops from these mobs. This piece, not particularly being insane, but if you can get in there and you need the piece, you need those medium legs, this is going to be a great place to get it, especially if you're going in Tempest and you're running, let's say, like the light chest piece, which we will show you the Tempest armor here towards the end, because we're just going to all lump it into one. But the Lith Leggings are going to be pretty crazy if you're going to run that light chest piece. Next, we have an earring, Reflected Mayhem, Refreshing, Purifying Toast, and Refreshing Toast. When it comes to your earring, you definitely need that Refreshing Toast perk. We didn't actually put much on here if it didn't have, sort of the best ones. And here it drops from the Entropy, and it is actually in Eden Grove, and I believe this is Malevolence here. Yeah, Malevolence. So it is dropped off the Entropy in Malevolence. This is going to be a harder one to farm specifically, but if you can get it, it's actually a pretty crazy good piece. Then we have the Staple Ring Featherweight. It is Dexterity, Keen Awareness, Hardy, and Refreshing. And this drops from Shardus in last. That is the last boss in the Lazarus. This is a very much a staple starter ring. It's not one of my favorite rings in the game, but when it comes to starting, it is hard to beat this right off the bat. Now we're going to get into, well, a couple more interesting pieces, and these are all going to be from Brimstone. And first we have Invoked by Her 2 lands. It's Dexterity, Refreshing Toast, Refreshing, and Regenerating if you want that extra regeneration here. And again, it's going to be Brimstone, but this is actually a pretty cool piece. It is something that I will probably strive to get. Hopefully we'll get there about week 2. We should be able to get this piece, or at least start attempting it, I imagine, right on week 2, unless by week 2, the Brimstone is not out. We hope to get into Brimstone. I'm thinking by the end of week 1, we might be able to get into Brimstone, but we will see. But this is going to be a really good one to get. Then we have, I believe, 2 rings to kind of cap it off here. And this one is really good. This is the Heart of, yeah, that word. And it is Dexterity, Thrust Damage, Keen Awareness, and Blood Letting. Now, the blow itself doesn't have a lot of bleeds. You do have the bleed from your rain of arrows, but Thrust Keen Awareness is really good. Trust me, especially if you don't have the Champion's Ring, this is going to be a staple. This is not only a staple for your PvP, this is going to be a staple for your PvE. Now, can the Champion's Ring outparse this? Or, I shouldn't say outparse this because we're talking about PvP. Will this be better for PvP than the Champions Ring? I don't know. It would have to do some testing, but this ring is absolutely pretty crazy. Especially if you're going Dexterity, you don't actually need Hardy. Hardy is nice to have, but getting those 3 damaging perks on a ring is extremely rare. And last, but certainly not least, actually, let's go back and we will show you where you get that ring from. Then you get it again from Brimstone Sands right here. This is, I believe, an elite zone, or this might be, yeah, I think this is the elite zone. I think this is the Ennead, but this is definitely not the Ennead dungeon, but I believe it's an elite zone. But yeah, this is going to be a place in a mob. Yeah, I said I didn't say his name there originally, but we'll call him Mr. Proud. Mr. Proud, you're going to kill him for that ring because it's really good. And the last ring we have here is another heart, and it is thrust damage, refreshing evasion, and hardy. This is just going to be a great overall ring. This is actually going to be better than the featherweight. And again, it is dropped by Diallo, and he is up here in the northern part. And I think we had him on here. He has a pair of focus pants. No, we didn't, but those are a pair of luck pants, so they're not too bad. With fortifying sacred ground, luck, and elemental aversion, if you're looking for a pair of PvE pants, especially those are light, those are really good. But yes, so go up there, you farm him, maybe get a pair of pants for your friends. Well, you can't really give them away, but maybe if you're a healer and want to run some dex. But yes, this dex ring is actually pretty crazy good and just straight up better than the featherweight. But again, the featherweight we can get a lot earlier. Next, we're going to talk about intelligence. And intelligence, it's got a few pieces here, not quite as much as dex or strength, but we still have some pretty good pieces. We have a new piece in the protective cow, which is resilient, invigorated, elemental aversion, light helm. And this is dropped by Featherbane inside Brimstone right over here. This is actually a pretty good piece, especially fresh start. Once we get into Brimstone, we're going to want to farm the crap out of it because there's so much insane gear that does drop in Brimstone. Next, we have the last prophecy, which is an intelligence amulet with refreshing, empowered, and health. Again, another mob in Brimstone here. It's actually really close to the last area. This amulet particularly isn't absolutely insane, but it actually still is pretty good. You do have some empowerment, especially on the fire staff, that will actually be able to benefit from this empowered here. So this will be pretty good. I always have to have health on my amulet. Without health, I won't run it. And then you have refreshing, which is really, really good, and empowered, which isn't BIS, but still really, really good. Next, we have another Tempestuous earring, and this is again from the Tempest box, and it is an intelligence earring with focus, refreshing toast, and refreshing. I still to this day use this on live. I have it at 625, mainly for mutations because I don't do too much PvP with intelligence, and specifically with mana ones. But yes, this earring is crazy. It comes out of the Tempest boxes, so make sure you have yours at 590 before you open these up. And then last, the ring that you have been waiting for intelligence. They asked for it for the longest time, and they got it. And the Band of the Daemon Dusk. So it is a con intelligence ring with keen awareness, refreshing, and hardy. This is going to be what most people are going to consider to be your BIS ring. Now, like I said, for straight PvP, the Champions ring is going to outperform this. But overall, this is going to be a ring that you're going to want to get. And it's actually a mob that is really easy to farm. Easiest one is the Blight Bringer here. And he is just right here, down here in Shallow Time, right down here in Reekwater. Really easy to farm. It does say that he does have 2 other spawns, but these are level 35. So I don't think that these can actually drop the ring itself because it is over here in Weaver's Fen. So you want to make sure you go to the Blighted Bringer here and get yourself that ring because it's really good. Let's see what this. You also have a, well, I mean, you got a Thwarting Strikes, Slowing Rupture, Refreshing Ward, maybe like a tanky greatsword. So yeah, go there and get yourself your ring. Last but certainly not least, of course, we have strength. Now, the first one's kind of meh, but I thought it looked really cool, and it did have resilient refreshing on it. It is a heavy helm called the King of the Jungle, and by the king himself in Brimstone. You kill him. He has a couple different pieces on here. I guess he doesn't. I thought this was the one that did, but I guess he doesn't. But he is, you know, pretty decent. It does have Beast Ward on it, so it's not the best. But if you're looking for a heavy helm with resilient, strength, and refreshing, because you really need that strength, this is going to be a great helm to get. Next, we have what I imagine is going to be the staple in the light helm department for strength builds. That is going to be the Warden's Guise. It has strength, refreshing, resilient, and luck. This is going to be a great overall just helm to get for light armor strength builds or anyone that can run a light helm, because you have the luck for PvE, you have the resilient for PvP, and you have the refreshing for literally everything. So this is going to be a staple in all builds, and this is going to drop from Toxos in the nursery at Garden of Genesis. This is, I believe, the first boss, the guy that's in the little room. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment sections down below, but I'm pretty sure that's where the nursery is. Let me look at his loot table to make sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's where he is. We have the liveliness here. That's not a bad corrupted one, but yeah, so farm that out. I can't remember, but whoever tax dude is here, that's the one. I'm pretty sure he's the first one, but I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, go ahead and get yourself your Warden's Guise, because it's really good. We have here a new amulet, and it is Health, Divine, and Fortified Recovery. This is going to be an absolute crazy good one, as you can expect, because it is crazy good. It has been Brimstone. I don't actually have a location for him because I cannot get it to come up, but just note that this mob right here does drop it, High or whatever you want to call his name. And this is actually a pretty crazy amulet, but if you're like, Parfax, no, I want this amulet, don't worry, there are a lot of crazy good amulets on here. Next, we have the Forgotten Vow Ring, and it is a slash damage, hardy, and enfeebling strength. If you didn't know, for PvP, if you're not running the Champion's Ring, I suggest for PvP specifically, I run Forgotten Vow, and honestly for PvE as well, because you're going to be attacking from the back 95% of the time once you get it down. So the keen awareness doesn't really do anything, and slashing is just really good. You do want hardy just in case you are in light armor, but this is dropped by Isabella herself inside Tempest. Next, we have one if you're running a medium armor build, and that is the Heart of Heka. And this is a slash damage, leeching, and refreshing one. This is going to be another Brimstone Sands one, but it says there are 2 different places that you can kill this mob. This ring is actually pretty good. I know a lot of people are going to go a medium armor strength user, especially if you're running slashing, let's say great axe, great sword. This is going to be a crazy, crazy good ring. Next, we have a pair of really good heavy boots, and this is going to be the Heavy Burden, resilient, refreshing ward, and invigorated. This is also going to drop in Brimstone down here to the basically south here. It's not as far south as you can go, but it is right here south. I think there's actually a shrine, a fast travel shrine right next to here, but it's going to be killed by this random mob here. I shouldn't say random mob. It's probably a named mob. It also does drop a pretty okay greatsword. Not one I put on the list, but it's still not terrible. Next, we have the staple. We put, I think, only one earring on here, and it's Doom's Chance. Strength, regenerating, refreshing toast, refreshing. Is it Biss? No. Is it so close to Biss you will probably won't replace it for almost forever? Yes. Just absolutely crazy good. You're going to want to get this. This is going to be dropped by the Caretaker in Garden of Genesis, and this is the little boss that kind of has the gate around him, and what I call the first boss. Realistically, it's the second or third boss, but it's the boss that everybody has a hard time on. It is the Caretaker, not the Gatekeeper. We have the other staple for all strength builds, and that is the Smooth Bone Ring. This is going to be drop in Laz. Now, there's a lot of places you can drop in Laz, so just go ahead and run it. This drops pretty often. This will be one of the easier pieces for you to get, so
I'd go in Laz, run it a couple times. There's a lot of stuff in there. You got to run it for the Fury anyway, and you got to run it. I believe that one of the great swords comes out of Laz too. So make sure you go ahead and run a Laz to get your smooth bone ring, because it's just going to be a staple in your build for a while until you can get one of the other rings. We have our last piece of Tempest gear, and this is going to be the Tempestuous Amulet of the Soldier. Again, a Tempest box. We're not going to go over it again, but it's health, stamina recovery, and fortify. These are all going to be great pieces of gear to have, great perks. And once you get it to 590, go ahead and open up your box. Next, this is going to look a little bit different because this is a 570, but this is actually a quest reward. This is the quest reward if you finish all the quests in Eden Grove, all the quests in Great Cleave, and basically all the quests in Shattered Mountain. It'll give you this one right here, which is Strength, Health, Divine, Fortified. This is an absolutely crazy amulet for Fresh Start. This is, if you were looking for a guaranteed one, you don't have to worry about farming anything. All you got to worry about doing is getting some coins while you're doing your quest. Then you can get this crazy amulet. The reason why it has 3 perks and it's purple is because it doesn't have a gem slot. So you do lose out on the gem slot, but you get, you get it back in spades with this crazy amulet. I used this Infinity Crystal for the longest time at launch. You won't use it for quite as long now, but it's still going to be absolutely crazy. Early on, health, divine, fortified, and strength is going to be absolutely insane for wars. You will use this for a long time. Next, we are going to put a piece of Tempest gear in here because it does have Resilient, and that is the Raider's hat with Resilient, Refreshing, and Freedom. I use this on my Sword and Shield build to this date. I actually did just upgrade it today, and that is only because I don't have enough pieces of Freedom to really utilize the Freedom perk. Once I get more pieces of Freedom on my main character, I will go back to this helm, but this is dropped in Tempest by the Headman Pang. This is right after you go through the little portal. This is actually one of the portals. After you go through the boss to get the Blackguard's Warhammer, you'll go through a portal and you will fight Pang and possibly get yourself an absolutely amazing helmet. The last one on our list here is an absolutely crazy, crazy good ring. And it is the heart of, yeah, I'm not even going to make you guys laugh at me trying to pronounce these names, but it is a strength, party, keen awareness, slashing. Remember how I said keen awareness isn't that good because slashing's good? Well, how about keen awareness and slashing damage? This, of course, is in Brimstone by Kindred. It is right here. This is really close to an area for a couple other pieces of gear we've had in this video already. This is, I believe, like I said, an elite zone, so it's going to be a little bit harder to farm. You can see here we have strength and chaos glyphs, and then it does have a spear, enfeebling skewer, keenly empowered, chain lightning, so actually a pretty decent little spear there. So if you want to get yourself one of your BIS rings, or a ring you're not going to replace for a super long time, it is going to require you to go into Brimstone, but once we get there, man, is it going to be crazy. All right, last, we're just going to go over a couple pieces. Well, I shouldn't say a couple pieces. We're going to go over the sets that come from Tempest. You can kind of get a judge whether you want to do them or not. Tempest is going to be the best place to get your armor, but most of it doesn't have Resilient on it. So first off, we have the Wizen set. It's going to have some Shirking, Fortification, Resilient. The big thing here is we do get a pair of Shirking Energy on the boots with Refreshing Elemental Version. We do have a nice piece of pants, Refreshing or Elemental Version, Shirking Fortification, Critical Retribution, Refreshing, and an Elemental Version. Overall, a really nice set, but doesn't have Resilient, but this is going to be overall a pretty crazy good PvE set. Next, we have my favorite Raiders. Not just because we have the helm, we already showed you that, but we have the Raiders pants, which are a medium pair of pants with corrupting, resistant, refreshing, freedom. We have the medium boots with elemental version, refreshing, freedom. And then we have the medium gloves, which is corrupting, resistance, refreshing, freedom. Overall, the helmet's really good and the other ones aren't that good. Next, we have the set that every healer is going to want to have to get, and that is Sagacious. And it is a focus set. all light armor, and we have elemental aversion, refreshing, and shirking fortification. We have the big one, which is fortified sacred ground, refreshing, elemental aversion. We have the light pants with mending, protection, refreshing, shirking, energy. These are crazy good too. Then we have accelerated lights and embrace, refreshing, and elemental aversion, light pant or light boots. And then we have the gloves, which is shirking, fort, refreshing, elemental aversion. The big thing about these is to get these 3 perks are always going to be very good. So you're going to make sure you get in there and get these at least these 3 pieces of gear. Next, we have the Conqueror set. It is a heavy armor set, a heavy armor con with physical aversion, refreshing vigor, resilient, refreshing vigor, which we didn't have that in the heavy helm section, so that's not too bad. And then we have the heavy pants, which are physical aversion, refreshing vigor, and then again, corruption resistant, refreshing vigor. Then our last piece is elemental aversion, refreshing, and vigor. The next we have the Honest Thieves. We have some decks here. If you have decks, elemental aversion, refreshing, empowering, explosive arrow. If you're using the bow and explosive arrow, even if this doesn't have resilient on it, this is still going to be a great thing to get for your build. This is going to be really good. We have the shirt, which I actually kind of like, but I don't run poison shot anymore, which is physical aversion, refreshing, poison shot. It is a light chest piece, so you do have to kind of work around that, but still not too bad. And then we have, we have the Doomwalkers, which we have the corrupt resistant, physical aversion, insatiable Gravwell. We have the elemental aversion, corrupt resistant, crippling Reap. The next set we have one of the better tanking sets in the game with Neshatons, and we have physical aversion, refreshing ward, sturdy energy, physical aversion, refreshing ward, freedom. And then we have the, again, ward, aversion, invigorated, aversion, ward, invigorated. And again, we have ward, aversion, but we have empowering armor breaker, or empowering breaker. Then we have 2 pieces of pious. We have here intelligence, physical aversion, corrupted ward, slowing tether. This is medium. And a medium chest piece with elemental aversion, corrupting ward, and nullifying oblivion. Honestly, neither one of those are too good, but you know, you'll get them while you're in there. Now we have the tactician set. We have the chest piece, which is physical aversion, refreshing, refreshing, evasion, and invigorated. We have a really good helm with resilient, refreshing, evasion, and invigorated. I would have put this on the deck set, but the sinful glare is a little bit easier to get, so we didn't put it there. We have a light pair of pants with invigorated, refreshing, evasion, refreshing, or elemental aversion. Then we have some corruption resistant pants, and we have more invigorated, physical aversion, refreshing, evasion.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, comment, subscribe. Like always, I hope these catch your eye. Hopefully you get a few of these. Some of these items were really crazy, and I can't wait to get on the Fresh Start server and grind these out with all of you guys. I will be on the Bald and Beautiful team. We will be on that server for a little while. We'll see what happens after it. So we will be streaming, like I said in the intro, and we will be having an absolute blast. So get out there, get all these cool items, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.